Join us on the last bus home.
That's why we keep them in a little bag on the outside of the body instead of inside where they're safe.
No way.
I know, it's weird, but that's nature for you.
One to think about.
Mm-hmm. So what's today, Lee? What is today?
Well, it's going to be a bit of a joint effort from both of us today because it's something that we know about, we've enjoyed. And I first think we have to give a bit of a shout out to one of our favourite podcasts, which is the Whatcast.
Oh, what? Yeah.
That's where I was first introduced to this tale that we're going to go through.
Mike and Matteo busted my cherry on this one, yeah.
What we're going to go through today is a tale, a collection, you can call it, a field guide. It's the fearsome critters of the Lumberwoods. So what essentially this is, it is a field guide. It's a collection of stories, encounters of strange beasts. So these all come from, let's say, lumberjacks.
Oh, the old logging camps, yeah.
Yeah. And just tales, I guess, when you're out in the thick of it, the wilderness, a little bit of isolation, mind starts playing tricks on you, or, some might actually be true. Some stories in the book were purely fictional, but others did actually have some basis behind them. So what we're going to do is, I think it'd be good to kind of pick our favourite creatures. We'll explain the story as from the book, and then we'll give our own kind of takes on there. So Fearsome Creatures of the Lumberwoods, also called With a Few Desert and Mountain Beasts, is a 1910 book, a field guide, as I said, authored by a guy called William T. Cox. So classed under the Minnesota's first state forester and commissioner of conservation, with illustrations. The illustrator was a guy, sounds French, so don't want to get the pronunciation wrong on this, but it's Coët Dubois. So he was kind of like the guy who's in charge of all the little doodles, and they're kind of good because you can use your own imagination because the descriptions are pretty descriptive, but it's good to see kind of, what these weird creatures are, and some of them are just complete comedy, whereas some are like, okay, maybe you had a few too many whiskies and that's just a cat, but we'll kind of go through. I just want to point out as well that the book is dedicated to the Consecrated Order of the Hoo-Hoo, a fraternal organisation of lumbermen, reflecting its deep ties to lumberjack culture. So Cox's introduction in the book acknowledges the creatures as inventions of the lumberjack imagination, positioning the book as part of their lore, basically. So, mate, do you want to have a little run through and we'll discuss some of our favourite beasts?
Yeah, sure. I'll start now. I don't have a favourite. They're all grand, to be honest. So I'm going to open with the Hoogag.
Good call.
Okay. There is a Latin name for it, but I'm going to skip over that. Yeah, I thought I'd go for it then, but no. Skip over it. So the Hoogag is a huge animal of the Lake States. Its range includes western Wisconsin, northern Minnesota, and territory extending indefinitely northward in the Canadian wilds towards Hudson Bay. In size, the Hoogag may be compared to the moose. And in form, it somewhat resembles that animal. Very noticeable, however, are its jointless legs, which compel the animal to remain on its feet, and its long upper lip, which prevents it from grazing. If it tried that method of feeding, it would simply tramp its upper lip in the dirt, which would be nice. and its head and neck are leathery and hairless. Its strangely corrugated ears flop downwards. Its four-toed feet, long bushy tail, shaggy coat, and general makeup give the beast an unmistakably prehistoric appearance. The hugag is a perfect mania for travelling, and few hunters who have taken up its trail ever came up with the beast or back to camp. So it's out there, but no one's found it yet. And it is reported to keep going all day long, browsing on twigs, flopping its lip around trees, and stripping bark as occasion offers. And at night, since it cannot lie down, it leans against the tree, bracing its hind legs and marking time with its front ones. The most successful hugag hunters have adopted the practice of notching trees so that they are almost ready to fall. And when the hugag leans up against one or both of the trees, the animal will come down.
Nice.
In its helpless condition, it is then easily dispatched. The last one killed, so far as known, was on Turtle River in northern Minnesota, where a young one weighing 1,800 pounds was found stuck in the mud. It was knocked in the head by Mike Flynn of Cass Lake. So that's the hugag. First question I've got there is it's moose-like and it eats trees. It sounds like it struggles to eat and just get some rest anyway. So why kill it?
Yeah, doesn't sound like an aggressive creature. That's kind of what I wondered.
Yeah, it just sounds lumberjacky. You know, they've just got something. They've just got to do something with that axe. But
Sounds like a messed up moose.
yeah, basically that's what I would say. A bit of mange if they can catch it.
Either way, I like that one, but there's no danger there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they say it resembles a moose, but there doesn't seem to be. Even in the illustration, there's no sign of any antlers.
Fair play, mate. Fair play. Still a good creature. I would like to discuss the cactus cat because that little guy is kind of muffed up.
This is the bad drunk, is he not?
Yeah, he gets pretty high on that POA, I reckon. So once very common in the Southwest and well known in the Pueblo and Navajo country, now practically extinct, living chiefly in the memories of a few remaining old-timers. At one time frequently seen in the Great Cactus districts, being especially abundant between Prescott and Tucson, occasionally reported from Old Mexico. So this little guy, it's got a cat-like body and it's covered with thorny hair. So kind of like, imagine a cat crossed between a literal cactus. So the hair grows long and sharp, rigid on the ears and tails. So basically his ears and tails literally look like little cactus balls. The latter is branched in cactus fashion, these branches having scattered thorny hairs similar to those growing on the ears. So he looks kind of messed up. And what he does is basically skillfully employs a deep slashing at the bases of the giant cacti. So what that does is it basically leaves all the sap and he just gets drunk on the sap.
But doesn't it go around the territory? Yeah.
Yeah. So he basically spins around the territory, exactly 80 chains long. And by the time he's done this, the sap turns into a fermented, sweet, intoxicating pulp. And then the cat greedily laps it up. By the time he finishes this round, he's pretty pickled. Usually waltzes off into the desert, rasping the bony forelegs. I kind of want to see that. Just some little pissed up cat. It's kind of badass. Again, not an aggressive cat, not a scary one. But imagine just seeing this little creature with cactus for ears getting drunk on POE. I want to see that.
So what we think? Some kind of lynx or I don't know. They just sound like normal animals, and they'll throw in a weird thing like drinking cactus fermented juices.
We also we shouldn't also jump straight on the fact that these are just folklore and just made up things. I mean, the wilderness is a scary place. We know it houses Bigfoot, the Sasquatch. I think there's all kinds of creatures out there that we don't yet know, whether they're cave dwellers, just basically lost in the forest that we've never kind of been through. Cactus Cat could be, even the offspring of some kind of bad lab experiment. Who knows?
Okay.
That's where I'm going with this one.
It's fine.
I like the story of how he exudes the sap from the cactus. And I kind of think, you're not going to go that far in making up weird little bits like that. I think this was documented. This little cactus cat existed.
It's the fact that it knows to let it ferment so it can get drunk. It seems deliberate. It sounds to me like this cat needs some help.
That's what nature is. It knows. It just knows how to do things.
Okay.
Like the moose who eat the, maybe not the moose. What is it? Which animal that gorges itself on the mushrooms and gets hella messed up?
Oh, that's Daz. Everybody knows him. The guy that stands in town screaming. Okay, so I've got one now. This one is called the squonk.
Yeah, I love the squonk.
You just can't knock a squonk. The range of the squonk is very limited. Few people outside of Pennsylvania have ever heard of the quaint beast, which is said to be fairly common in the hemlock forests of that state. The squonk is of a very retiring disposition, generally travelling about at twilight and dusk. Because of its misfitting skin, which is covered with warts and moles, it is always unhappy. In fact, it is said by people who are best able to judge to be the most morbid of beasts. Hunters who are good at tracking are able to follow a squonk by its tear-stained trail, for the animal weeps constantly. When cornered, an escape seems impossible, or when surprised and frightened, it may even dissolve itself in tears. Squonk hunters are most successful on frosty moonlit nights, when the tears are shed slowly and the animal dislikes moving about. It may then be heard weeping under the boughs of dark hemlock trees. Mr. J.P. Wentling, formerly of Pennsylvania, but now at St. Anthony Park, Minnesota, had a disappointing experience with a squonk near Mont Alto. He made a clever capture by mimicking the squonk and inducing it to hop into a sack, in which he was carrying it home when suddenly the burden lightened and the weeping ceased. Wentling unslung the sack and looked in. There was nothing but tears and bubbles.
Man, the most emo of all the critters.
That's the squonk. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, it's just a sad little beast.
Did
it say why he was crying?
Because he's ugly, because he's got warts and moles and wrinkly skin.
Shit, man. I didn't think the animal kingdom or the critter kingdom were that vanity obsessed like us.
Well, this is it. I think its tears and its features obviously must have some kind of reason, but people being people have put human traits on it and said it's sad.
Maybe that's how the little guy sweats.
Maybe that's how he puts out his love smells. So he attracts other squonks.
This is it. The ultimate goth, marking its territory with tears.
The squinks. I don't know. Yeah.
Squanks.
Ooh. Other squonks. Yeah.
I like that one. Sad. And yet again, not a particularly aggressive critter.
He just wants to be left alone, and then some idiot comes and puts him in his sack.
This is it. Well, I'm going to move on to the Dunghaven Hooter, because this creature looks just like nature couldn't really figure this one out. It was like, let's just mash a bunch of stuff together. I'd be kind of scared if I saw this guy. So, formerly quite common from Maine to Michigan, today only occasionally met up with on the upper peninsula of the latter side. So this creature is a marsh dweller. So kind of picture some swampy beast. Dangerous to human beings, it says here, so we've got a first risk to life. Shaped a good deal like an alligator, but curious as to equipment in that it has no mouth. The nostrils are abnormally large, the legs short, and the tail thick and powerful. The only cry is a loud snort. Concealing itself with satanic cunning behind a whiffle bush, the Dunghaven Hooter awaits the passing logger. On coming within reach of the dreadful tail, the victim is knocked senseless and then pounded steadily until he becomes entirely gaseous, where he is greedily inhaled through the wide nostrils. Rum-sodden prey is sought with a special eagerness. So I'm guessing that's when some lumberjacks just liquored up on rum. His bones and body taste extra sugary. This little guy just knocks you out with his tail and then literally devours you through his nose. Hell yes. That boy is bad times. I'm going to say there's not much basis in that one other than being a particularly terrifying tail. I think you can probably get alligators mixed up with this guy. I love how he's probably the first ever cryptid or creature I've heard that eats its prey through its nose. So yeah, I'm all about this one.
I mean, some of these stories do sound like they're written by people who have their dinner and their breakfast in their nose. But wow. Okay, I'm gonna follow that up with the splinter cat, another feline oddity. So, a widely distributed and frightfully destructive animal is the splinter cat. It is found from the Great Lakes to the Gulf and eastward to the Atlantic Ocean. But in the Rocky Mountains has been reported from only a few localities. Apparently, the splinter cat inhabits the part of the country in which wild bees and raccoons abound. These are its natural food, and the animal puts in every dark and stormy night, shattering trees in search of coons or honey. It doesn't use only judgment in selecting coon trees or bee trees, but just smashes one tree after another until a hollow one containing food is found. The method used by this animal in its destructive work is simple but effective. It climbs one tree, and from the uppermost branches bounds down and across towards the tree it wishes to destroy, striking squarely with its hard face. The splinter cat passes right on, leaving the tree broken and shattered, as though struck by lightning or snapped off by the wind. Appalling destruction has been wrought by this animal in the Gulf states, where it works in the shape of a wrecked forest is often ascribed to windstorms. So, the splinter cat headbutting trees to get its feed.
That kind of tells me nature has a way for any animal. Gives it a big square face. Good for smashing shit. Again, doesn't seem to prey on humans.
No, but I'm guessing if a human got in the way of one of these turbo headbutts, it might hurt. I'm just wondering if the splinter cat's maybe thought of using its claws. Maybe, I don't know.
Who needs claws when you got a big old head?
Yeah, true. So yeah, that's the splinter cat. It splinters trees with its face, looking for hollow ones with raccoons or bees in.
Kind of like it. It's just brute force. Like
brute force, no intention of using its superior sense of smell, which
no.
I doubt it has if it's smashed its nose in that much.
That's a weird kind of thing that you don't often see in nature. That's like a human thing where we've given been given tools maybe, but we don't always use the best one. That cat's like, screw all my feline senses, I'm just going to headbutt trees.
Like the internet can also be used for knowledge.
Yeah, imagine that. I like it. Cool. I like that cat. I'm all about that. I want to move on to, compared to the illustration, I mean, a very funny looking beast. The Gumbaroo. This guy is an uncommon, but nevertheless well known and thoroughly authenticated animal. Authenticated by Paul Bunyan himself. So we kind of went through who Paul Bunyan was. I think he was a frontier man who lived that life, and he became pretty famous. But I'm guessing he documented King Lumberjacks, and I'm guessing he documented a few creatures on his way, because it says, Paul Bunyan often met them upside down the country. His description given to me personally, the book says, was as follows, and this is of the Gumbaroo. A pot-bellied body, almost exactly like the bunkhouse stove, even to the umbilical damper, and covered with very tight, tough, black, shiny skin, a pair of long, powerful, monkey-like forearms, and a little round head, no neck. His head sits right down onto his shoulders like a hop toad in a cool spot. He's got 3 bowed rear legs, each with the clawed foot clutching an iron ball. There's no speed in these rear legs, but they're handy for wading dumps. For real travel, he's got 8 pair of strong, springy legs set around the middle. He's plenty rapid on these. He'll go to a hilltop by swinging from branch to branch with his forelegs, then toss himself out a rod or two, landing sideways on the middle legs and rolling over and over down the hill, moving faster than the eye can see. That's why he's so rarely observed. It's down to his skill, not the fact he doesn't exist. The hides from the middle legs used to make the fine waterproof boots, but they're pretty scarce now. The Gumbaroo was usually found in burnt lands, practically an indestructible animal. Bullets always bounced from his taut hide, but heat would make him swell and explode. Now that is badass. So on a hot day, you get near a Gumbaroo, and you're just covered in Gumbaroo guts. Kind of wild. Imagine just seeing this little guy roll down the hill with a crazy amount of legs and just really long, monkey-like arms that is just swinging around from trees with a badger's head. Kind of looks like a badger's head. That's just messed up. Another one nature just couldn't figure out.
Yeah, another mishmash of animal leftovers, really.
Yep. I like it, though. It's comical. Not really a danger to humans.
I'm going to follow that up with an older but slightly different version of the Gumbaroo, if you're ready for that. If you can handle more Gumbaroo.
Lay it on me.
In the foggy region along the Pacific coast from Grays Harbor to Humboldt Bay, there ranges a kind of creature that caused much annoyance in the lumberwoods. This is the Gumbaroo, which luckily is so rare that only once in a great while is one seen. It is believed to remain in hiding most of the time in the base of enormous, burnt-out cedar trees, from where it sallies forth occasionally on frightful marauding expeditions. During these periods of activity, the beast is always hungry and devours anything it can find that looks like food. A whole horse may be eaten at one sitting, distending the Gumbaroo out of all proportions, but failing to appease its hunger or cause it slightest discomfort. The specimens seen are reported to have been coal-black, but that may have been due to their being smirched with the charred wood. In size, the beast corresponds closely to a black bear, for which it might be mistaken, only for the fact that the Gumbaroo is almost hairless. To be sure, it has prominent eyebrows and some long, bristly hairs on its chin. But the body is smooth, tough, and shiny, and bears not even a wrinkle. The animal is a tireless traveller when looking for food, but is not swift in its movements or annoyed in the slightest degree by the presence of enemies. The latter characteristic is easily accounted for by the fact that no other animal with its range has ever found a successful method of attacking a gumbaroo, or a vulnerable spot on one's anatomy. Whatever strikes the beast bounds off with the same force it's hit. A bit like Black Panther. Its elastic hide hurls back with equal ease, and the charging elk and the wreathy hornet, whether it's a hornet or an elk, you're getting the same back. And a rock or peavy thrown at the creature bounds back at whoever threw it, and a bullet shot against its hide is sure to strike the hunter between the eyes. It is believed that the scarcity of gumbaroos is due to their combustible character and the prevalence of their forest fires. The animal burns like celluloid with explosive force, frequently during and after a forest fire in the heavy cedars near Coos Bay. Woodmen have insisted that they heard the loud reports quite unlike the sound of falling trees, and detected the smell of burning rubber in the air.
That's really cool. I love the fact that these things explode. It's piss funny.
It doesn't feel very evolutionarily sound, but
It doesn't, and that's what makes them brilliant. I'm kind of thinking of almost critter vibes on these guys, the way they roll up into the ball and just go and explode, basically. I'd like to say the Gumbaroos might be up there as one of my favourites so far because he's a complex character. I like it. It's not really a danger to humans, but just, he's going to cause a shit ton of forest fires just by overheating, basically.
well, he's a danger to you if you try and be a danger to him.
Exactly. Nature. I love it. Awesome. Definitely, I'm kind of thinking as we're going through these as well, which could I have if I owned a farm as pets? Maybe the little crying guy, water the plants, but maybe not a gumbaroo. Moving on. I'm going to hit you up with the Santa. And no, that's not the happy guy who goes into your kids' rooms and empties his sack. The Santa is spelt Santer. One of the few marauding varmints reported below the Mason and Dixie line, common in western North Carolina. Really dangerous to mankind, but a frequent predator on the old livestock there. So if you've got any sheeps and chickens, Santa's coming for them. He sounds, from the description, pretty horrific. So his long body is covered with reddish hair. His head is large, round and bald. His legs and feet are long, and his eyes are small with a mean look. His tail is almost as long as his body and has 8 hard knots in it. Looks like a string of beads. He can swing this flail with plenty of power and skill enough to knock out a cow or a hog with one slap. And obviously this tail can be effective in combat. So, if you mess with him, I think he'd do you a pretty bad time. He can travel fast, so he seldom has to put up with any kind of scraps. Lives mostly in wooded swamps in the neighbourhood of small villages where cattle and hogs are kept. A remarkably fast animal, but again, rarely seen. Its cry is a piercing baby-like wail. Dogs will seldomly run. A calf known to have been killed by one of these varmints near Statesville showed 8 distinct bruises, 7 on the body and 1 on the broken foreleg. The hair about each bruise was severely singed. So kind of a pretty freaky creature. If you can just kind of imagine this, again, long thing with, as it said, like red hair all over its body, but this long tail and these really long spindly legs. Just a big old bald head with like 2 kind of like black mean little eyes. Sounds messed up. And yeah, danger to your livestock.
Oh dear. You don't have to farm a specific animal. You could have a menagerie, like a Bonesaw Vic's Cryptological Zoo. That would be... Oh, great story, by the way, if you want to listen to that.
That'd be awesome.
But yeah, a menagerie of mythical creatures would attract a crowd.
That'd be cool. So, like, what was that film where he kept all the ghosts in the house? 13 Ghosts, something like that?
Oh yeah. No, there's a creepypasta out there called Bonesaw Vic's Cryptozoological Gardens.
Make a badass film to put a budget behind it.
It absolutely would. There's a skinwalker, a Bigfoot, a vampire. Yeah, it's really good.
Nice.
Okay, I've got one here called either the Tripodero or the Tripodero.
I'm literally on that page right now, and I was just thinking how ridiculous that thing looks.
Well, having a look at its description, I'm going to go with Tripodero because tripod doesn't really come into it. Okay. So, the chaparral and foothill forests of California contain many queer freaks of one kind or another. One of the strangest and least known is the Tripodero, an animal with two contractile or telescopic legs and a tail like a kangaroo's. This peculiarity in structure enables the animal to elevate itself at will, so that it may tower above the chaparral, or, if it chooses, to pull in its legs and present a compact form for crowding through the bush. The Tripodero's body is not large, but is solidly built, and its head is nearly all snout, the value of which is seen in the method by which food is obtained. As the animal travels through the brush-covered country, it elongates its legs from time to time, thus shoving itself up above the brush for purposes of observation. If it sights game within a range of 10 rods, it takes aim with its snout and tilts itself until the right elevation is obtained, then with astounding force blows a sun-dried quid of clay, knocking its victim senseless. A supply of these quids of clay are carried in the left jaw. The Tripodero then contracts its legs and bores its way through the bush to its victim, where it stays until the last bone is cracked and eaten. Now, the Tripodero takes no prisoners. It hocks a clay loogie at you to knock you out, and then it completely eats you. And you can't disprove this because no one's ever survived.
This is it. And for something that looks so ridiculous, kind of a messed up way to go.
Yeah, it doesn't sound pleasant in any way.
I like it. So it has some sort of clay making thing within its body, and it just picks that to.
I don't know.
Okay.
He kind of makes. He might take time out in his day. Maybe early in the morning. Would be the best time to make his little quids of clay, and then leave them out while the sun gets hot, and then he can go out in the early evening to do his hunting when other animals are feeding. I don't know, but he's an odd-looking character, and yeah, an absolute weirdo.
All these creatures are starting to sound like kind of nature's rejects, where the one thing that they've been given to kind of survive, it gets them by, but it's not like the best of things. Do you know what I mean? It's, they just kind of crack on with it, and that's why they're pretty rarely seen, because the species ain't doing so hot. So, my next one, less of a story about a creature and just, hey, you want to snag yourself a tasty snack? Well, cryptids make good snacks too. This one's called the Whiffin Poof, sometimes called the gilly-galoo fish. So this is a tasty fish, found only in perfectly round lakes. Okay? So, yeah. No square ones, no long ones, perfectly round ones. So hence, surprise, surprise, they're quite rare. So to catch him, row to the exact centre of the lake. using the hog yoke to determine the position, and bore a square hole in the water. Bait the edge of this hole with a bit of cheese, preferably brie, Stilton, or best of all, Limburger. The whiffenpoof will quickly scent the bait and come for it. When he emerges, and this is important, you have to spit tobacco juice in his eye. This will make him swell with rage so that he won't be able to withdraw into the hole. Then you can easily net him. So yeah, not a whole lot about that beast, but I think with such a particular way of getting him, it's going to taste really good. And it does say a tasty fish.
Well, it sounds like its habitat is pretty rare. So once you've found yourself a perfectly round lake, it's not going to take long to make that particular critter extinct.
Exactly. And I'm a seafood guy. Kind of wouldn't mind a taste of that. So next time out in the swamplands of America, I'm going to try and net me one.
Okay. And just while you're at it, just provide me, just for my own interest, a photograph of a perfectly round lake.
Will do.
Yeah.
I'm on it.
Okay. Got another one here for you. The penultimate. I'll let you finish on yours.
Cool, man.
This one is the aggro pelter.
Haha, yeah.
This, to be honest, the image of this one could quite well be an SCP or something in a film.
Definitely, it's the most cryptid looking of the lot.
Yeah, I don't want to say most plausible looking, but it's the most plausible looking. So, leading a vengeful existence, resenting the intrusion of the logger, the aggro pelter deals misery to the lumberjack from Maine to Oregon. Ill fares the man who attempts to pass a hollow tree in which one of these creatures has taken up its temporary abode. The unfortunate is usually found smashed or pinned by a dead branch and reported as having been killed by a falling limb. So unerring in its aim of the agripelter that, despite diligent search, I have been unable to locate more than one man who has been the target of one of their missiles, and yet survived to describe the beast. This is big old Kittleson, who, upon certain occasion, when cruising timber on the upper St. Croix, was knocked down by a partly rotten limb thrown by an agripelter. This limb was so punky that it shattered an owl's head, and he had time to observe the rascally beast before it bounded from the tree and whisked itself off through the woods. According to old Kittleson, the animal has a slender, wiry body, the villainous face of an ape, and arms like muscular whiplashes, with which it can snap off dead branches and hurl them through the air like shells from a 6-inch gun. It is supposed to feed upon hoot owls and woodpeckers, the scarcity of which will always prevent the agripelter from becoming numerous in any locality.
Seems to be the way it goes for these creatures.
Yeah, so this antisocial item sits in a tree chucking branches at people for no reason either, not even for food. Just because he's an ass, essentially.
That's all it needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, like wasps, they're not useful. They're just asses.
Exactly.
Yeah, all right.
Just the way. But it's surviving. Scarcely, but still surviving.
Yeah.
I like that creature because, like I say, it's kind of could be. It's not really that far out there in cryptid lore, or even up there with like Bigfoot and Sasquatch, because it just looks kind of like a messed up monkey in the tree.
Well, to be fair, it sounds kind of like a juvenile Bigfoot.
Yeah, could be. Uncle Knobhead of the Bigfoots.
Just the teenage Bigfoot who's like just going through his dick phase. And like setting things on fire, and like nowadays, yeah, teenagers like kicking in bus shelters and stuff. These idiots throw branches around.
This is it.
So,
trickster of the woods.
The Agropelter is a teenage Bigfoot.
Cool. Well, like that one. So we're going to get into the final beast. So this little guy is called the Hodag. So reported in Maine many years past, and in 1895 captured and positively identified near Rhinelander, Wisconsin, by a Mr. F.S. Shepherd. The Hodag is indubitably one of the best known of the larger and more dangerous wood varmints, so quite a famous creature of the Lumberwood. It is now very rare, probably owing to the increased use of lemons in cookery. For Hodags, the citrus fruits are the same ratio as wolves and wolfbane, probably more so. So this guy really doesn't like lemons. A distressingly ugly animal. The knobbly head wears a pair of prominent, bulging eyes and two heavy lateral horns, something after the fashion of a male stag beetle. I'm kind of getting vibes of like just an old, really prehistoric reptile thing with just ridiculous horns and a big long tail. The claws are stout and powerful. The tail carries a terminal hook, while a row of jagged stegosaurian dorsal spines complete the picture. The smaller front teeth were formed, often used for umbrella handles. Not great, so if you hunt this little guy, you can get some bits off him. The Hodag is fully aware of his upsetting appearance and is given to frequent fits of bitter weeping. Another guy who just likes to cry. I once had a handful of the extremely rare crystallized Hodag tears, but an acquisitively lady friend collected them, believing them to be fine amber. She had them strung into a neck yoke and then went and spilled a Tom Collins on herself. Of course, the lemon just dissolved them instantly. This fellow can't endure being laughed at. When angry, he is fierce and dangerously aggressive, but a pair of lemons in ample protection against the whole herd. So if you ever see a Hodag and you're laughing at it and it gets butt hurt, squeeze a lemon on it, dies. Like
That's you, right? Okay. Well,
when life hands you a lemon, squeeze it on a Hodag.
Well, there is such a thing in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, as the Hodag Country Festival,
No way.
held every year in the second week of July.
That's badass.
Yeah, it's a country music festival in the name of the Hodag, and it attracts. You know, there's, I believe, the Hodag is the like mascot of Rhinelander. They've got like statues of it and stuff, but the music festival itself, it started 45 years ago with like 500 people going, but nowadays it has like 200 and about 25,000 people going a day to the festival.
That's amazing.
And it attracts such acts as Garth Brooks, Glenn Campbell, Tammy Wynette, Loretta Lynn, and others. Who's the guy? Kenny Rogers.
Nice. Kenny Rogers loves a Hodag.
He's a hoe for the Hodags.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, it's an actual country music festival, and I have seen a documentary about the Hodag. It's about various things, but there was a section about the Hodag, the festival, and the town, which I'm assuming is Rhinelander, where they have the statues, and it's like Nessie to the towns around Loch Ness. You know, it's their thing. Is the Hodags.
I like the fact they're giving him his day.
Yeah, he's got his own festival. It never happened in 2020 because of COVID, but every year for the last 45 years, it's a thing. The Hodag Festival.
That's cool. Wonder if you can get like Hodag meat.
But maybe. But if it's some kind of lizardy type thing, there might be only a small part of its body you can eat.
Man, could create some nice delicacies. Put it in a sausage bun.
You see, that would be a recipe book I would buy, these cryptid menus.
Cryptid cooking. Cooking with cryptids.
Cooking with cryptids, I think we need to get on that.
Hell yes. Cook me up some hodag.
All the best cuts from various cryptids.
Hell yeah. A little side of a cactus cat.
Oh, bit of squonk dip.
Ooh, nothing I love more than squonk dip on a summer's day.
Yeah, squonk tears and onion. Yum yum.
Hell yeah, let's get on that. But yeah, so that was our selection of, well, some of my favourite creatures.
Yeah, if you want to hear a better version of this, head over to the Whatcast.
Yeah, they cover it pretty good.
They do a really good job.
And also, if you want to check out some more wacky creatures, just check out the book for yourself. There's plenty more that we've not gone through in detail today. So, again, like I say, they come with illustrations, which are just great to see. And yeah, just a really cool, quirky little collection of beasts and cryptids. But yeah, they're really good books. So check those out if you found today's episode interesting. But yeah, until then, Mr. Wilson, peace out.